Guess who's back? Back again. Cowboy's back. Tell Sweaty Boy and John. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? What's up?
That's not going to line up well with the intro music.
No, not at all. But it's a little Heads Up Play remix. What's up, guys? Welcome to Heads Up Play episode. What episode is this, Sam?
This is episode numero 9. Okay. Nueve is 9.
Nueve is 9. Yes, I'm going to go episode 9. We got Sweaty Boy, you got J-Dub, and you got Cowboy. We're all rocking. We had a great weekend of sports with college basketball taking off. We had college football kind of leave us in the dust a little bit. A little underwhelming. But
wow, y'all won.
Guys, I'm sorry. My fiance is crawling on the floor right now. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Well, Sam, Sweaty Boy, J-Dub, take it away.
Had a pretty good weekend myself, boys. We'll get into college football. I'm in agreement with you there. Kind of disappointing, but we'll get more into it. We had some major news drop this morning in college football. Major news. But John, Mr. J-Dub, how was your weekend?
It was good. Watched it.
So we got a streak going on right now with Heads Up Play. One of our members has been at least 1 week. We have one person at a college football game.
Yeah, I wasn't done talking.
Yeah.
So J-Dub, you continue this. So tell us about this week. You went to South Alabama versus.
Nope, it's not important. I don't want to say it anymore. You hurt my feelings. I need an apology. Not happening. Let's go.
How'd I hurt your feelings?
You interrupted me.
We got drama on the pod already.
God.
This actually
John's fault.
Let me bring in the Dr. Phil McGraw. All right, now, John, you are upset that he interrupted you.
I want his hat. Tell him if he wants to apologize. He has to.
That's a dope hat. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dope hat.
I got it for $24.
That's a steal.
And
I feel like that's how much most hats cost.
It's a Mitchell and Ness, though. It's Mitchell and Ness. That's the thing.
Yes.
I love bargain. I like a bargain. But so
$24 is like average for a hat.
No, what hats? Sports memorabilia hats? No way. Mitchell and Ness hats are like $40. Look it up right now. If I'm wrong,
I don't think I've ever paid more than $30 for a hat.
Have you bought an Atlanta Brace hat?
Not from
those are 43.
Stadium.
Those. I'm telling you, those are 43 lids.
All right, you said I've never even heard of that brand, Mitchell and S.
Mitchell and Ness.
I get Mitchell and Sons Roofing. I bet they got some cool hats.
You've never heard of Mitchell and Ness?
Mitchell and Ness.
That's what I said. Ness, yeah. I've
heard of it. This one was 32, so I mean a little bit over 24.
Oh yeah.
But this is Nike. This is Nike. You know who has that Nike money? Oregon, but Dan Lanning ain't going where we're going to talk about. But let's get in a little bit of a college basketball. Let's talk here, boys. Let's talk some sports. I've looked a little bit into some college basketball as it started up. We're only 2 games into the season for most teams. I've watched a little bit of Bama. I watched some Florida. I watched some South Alabama lose to the University of Mobile in a playing game.
That's probably the worst upset so far in my opinion. I'm not saying this because it upset me, but that probably is the worst upset of the whole college basketball season so far.
I mean, right now, probably. And then they go up to Buffalo, and then they pull off that. So, interesting things going on there. Cowboy, you and I did a SEC basketball preview about a week ago. We gave our predictions, looking like the top teams that we kind of talked about, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, A&M. They're all sitting at 2-0 right now. Auburn lost the first game of the season to Baylor, kind of on a late comeback from Baylor.
Baylor's got a good team. Baylor's got a really good team.
Yeah. Other teams in the SEC, nobody is 0-2 from what I'm seeing right now. I mean, granted, not everybody's played anything crazy. But Mr. J-Dub, how are we feeling about your Auburn Tigers in basketball?
I feel really good about them. I do think we're a better team than we were last year. Is going to be the next Walker Kessler.
Cowboy, how you feel about that Alabama Crimson Tide?
John's response to that.
No, I think Auburn has a very good team. The dog did not like the prediction. He didn't like my statement about the Auburn Tigers. He's a big Alabama fan, USF fan. I mean, Alabama. I like the Alabama team. I think
He's an Auburn fan, I guess.
the only thing I have to complain about this Alabama team is we don't have good center play, and I don't think we have a good defensive player that I can say, all right, Grant Nelson, I need you to go out there and guard Wade Baldwin from Texas A&M. I mean, Grant Nelson is good, but I just don't think we have good defense on guard play. Riley Griffin's pretty good, but besides that, I really like this team a lot, though. You know, I was talking with my dad the other day, and he brought up a very good point. This team offensively, could be better than last year's team.
I'm in agreement with that. I mean, we're hitting the three like crazy. I love the transfers on the team, but I think defensively, I think you're right. We don't have that one guy that we can just, down the stretch of a game against another team's best offensive player, we can put that guy up against and say, hey, block that guy.
That guy.
Yeah. We don't seem to have that guy quite yet, but I'm liking what I'm seeing offensively. I don't know if this is quite as good of a total team as last year, but I mean, it's looking good so far.
The Aaron Estrada is a stud. Now, let me tell you some teams I'm actually I want to give them kudos. South Carolina 2-0 with the upset against Virginia Tech. I had South Carolina being dead last in the SEC. I'll tell you though, I do think the worst team this year, and they've already lost a game, Presbyterian, and they barely beat USC upstate. I think Vanderbilt's going to be the worst team in the SEC. The way it's already 2 games in. I don't want to pre-determine it, but if you're losing to Presbyterian in your first game of the year at home and you're barely beating USC upstate, it's going to be a tough season.
Poor Vandy.
Look at South. I don't know. I think it was just a fluke game, their first one.
Had to have been with that South game. I mean, when you lose a pay to play game like that's just straight up embarrassing. But I think you might be right. I mean,
and we didn't lose. We didn't lose them. They
got beat.
They got beat.
Yeah,
that was
like I don't think South led that game the whole time
at any point.
But as far as NCAA basketball as a whole, our expert on the pod is Cowboy. How are things looking, across the league as a whole?
Well, the biggest game we've had so far, you had Arizona at Duke, and I think I was talking to you, Sam. Might have been J-Dub about this Arizona team. This Arizona team, they're shockingly they're not going to be terrible, and they went to the Duke house and they put a beat down on Duke. It was pretty bad, but I think that team looked pretty good. Kansas looks pretty good, but I'm going to tell you, a one-loss team to look out for, and the 2 one-loss teams, I think that's pretty good, is Duke. And John's going to like when I say this, I think Auburn. I think Auburn really has 2. That freshman Holloway is a stud. I think he's really good.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's still too early in the season, but college basketball, the madness has happened.
I'll say this much for Auburn, though. Biggest thing we need to work on is our passing. We had I don't know how many turnovers, and they were just stupid passes. Not even close passes. They were 5 feet above Dylan Cardwell's head. They would bounce past, get stolen. Just about every one of those turned into a fast break score. And it's you take away at least half of those, and we put up a much better fight. I don't know if y'all watched the game, but Auburn led the entire game up until 3 minutes in the second half. So.
Yeah, it Tuesday. So we actually got pretty good basketball this week. Tuesday night we have the State Farms Championship or the Champions Classic. You have Duke versus Michigan State, and then you have Kansas versus Kentucky. So you got a doubleheader, and then also on Tuesday night, what I will be watching, you have the South Alabama Jaguars playing the Alabama Crimson Tide. That'd be a
Roll Jags.
Roll Jags. That. Got Iowa at Creighton. Iowa's always a team you can't put down in basketball. But yeah, I think college basketball. I think college basketball is coming up pretty good. You got Marquette at Illinois. I tell you a team to look out though on upset alert for Tuesday. Mark it down. Texas A&M at SMU. That's who I think is on upset alert for Tuesday. Tuesday, November 14th. Give me SMU at beating Texas A&M. But we talked a little bit of college basketball, and it's Sunday when we're recording this episode coming out on Monday, of course. Let's discuss a little bit. I mean, we don't have to talk about it much. Let's discuss a little bit what happened in the NFL today. Got a lot
What's happening with the Dirty Birds? How are they gonna get walked off by the Cardinals? Cardinals aren't even bigger than Falcons. Falcons are so much bigger. Have you ever seen them? Falcons are so much bigger, John. There's no reason we should have lost that game.
It was rough. Kyler Murray, he ran 20 yards in the backfield, and then we let him gain 13 yards. I mean, it's Kyler Murray. He looked like vintage Kyler Murray. It didn't help. I mean, he did score a touchdown, but Taylor Heineke went out with an injury, and Desmond Ridder had to go in there, and he scored a touchdown, but still. Today you had the Colts and the Patriots, again in Frankfurt for the Germany series, 10-6.
Poor Patriots.
Oh, it's bad. And see, I'm glad though they put that game because I'm sorry, I didn't want to watch the Texans and Bengals in Germany. I put a game that nobody cares about, the Colts and the Patriots, two teams that are bad, but the Patriots are rough. They got to replace Mac Jones. I don't know what they're.
Well, they threw Bailey Zappi out there, and he threw basically the game-sealing interception. So, I mean, at this point, like the quarterback position at New England is just.
And I'm seeing
it's rough.
And I'm seeing mock drafts where they're in the top 5, and they're not picking a quarterback. They're picking Brock Bowers, who I don't think is bad, but they need to get a new quarterback in there. And Bailey, if you think Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones is the answer, oh my God.
I mean, we've had this conversation before about Mac Jones, and it's like, okay, what is he with weapons, right? Because when he was at Alabama, he had arguably the greatest wide receiving core probably in SEC history, and that's comparing it to some of the great, LSU wide receiving cores and others. And he really doesn't have anything at New England. And I mean, if he gets a guy who's virtually unstoppable like a Brock Bowers, I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. And I'm not a fan of NFL teams going through a constant cycle of quarterbacks until they just find the right one. It's like, okay, get your guy, build around him, and see what he can do. All right, it's not a 1 year thing, right? Like Bryce Young, just because he's kind of sucking right now, and a lot of that can be blamed on him, but he has nothing around him, right? Like I think as bad as Mac Jones has been, and he's been pretty bad, I don't think you can place all the blame on him because his rookie season, he was actually pretty good when he had some things around him.
Yeah, I mean, that was what I was about to say, Sam. Like, that's what's the most frustrating thing about the NFL is that they never, it's always a quarterback going first round. Like, that's not going to solve our problems. Like you just said, don't give him, 2 seasons. Give him, a little bit to develop and then see where he goes from there. I get it. It's a professional sport. If you don't got it, you don't got it. But you went out and got him. You put all this money and effort into him. Why not keep him around for a little bit?
See, John, I don't think it's the lack of players. I think the offensive coordinator. He's had 3 different offensive coordinators in his 3 years.
That's part of it too. Well,
John, go ahead, Sam. I next topic. I want to say something. Go ahead, finish this.
I kind of forgot where I was going. I'm not gonna lie to you. I totally forgot where I was.
I don't have a hat to give you. I'm sorry.
What were you saying, JR?
Oh, nothing. Next game we're going to look at. We had the Texans and Bengals 30 beat the Bengals. I don't know what. I just had a brain fart. Texans beat them 30-27. CJ Stroud, another amazing performance, throwing for 356 yards. I mean, I don't know if I watched that game. That was a good game. That was a dang.
How about the freaking Texans, man? DeMeco Ryans. The poor Texans have been arguably the worst franchise in the NFL since their existence, right? I mean, you could talk about the Browns and stuff, but this is the first time that and I know they're 5-4, right? So it's nothing crazy.
Really, since those years when they had J.J. Watt and
yeah, they've been a very poorly run franchise.
Bill O'Brien killed that team.
He did. And for them to go out and beat the Bengals in Cincinnati, like that's pretty big. And I mean, another topic on that is the fall off of the Bengals. Like Joe Burrow has not been fantastic this year. He's been human. So little interesting stuff going on there for sure.
John, what's your thoughts on that game?
Which Joe Burrow was doing like a lot of since 2019. I liked him. I didn't like him in 2018 at LSU, but in 2019 I hopped on the bandwagon. I love that. But hey, how about the freaking Lions, dude? How about the Detroit
How about
Lions?
the Lions?
Now 7-2.
8-2. Are they 7-2 or 8-2?
7-2. 7-2.
7-2. I love that coach. I'm telling you. I mean, dude, they're a good team. That was an exciting game to watch too. I mean, Goff was never a bad quarterback. I don't know why the Rams gave up on him just like that to get Stafford. I get you got to chase that window, but now look at him. I mean, Goff is a stud. Jahmyr Gibbs had a great game. David Montgomery had a great game. I'm gonna tell you, he's one of the best receivers. He's so slept on. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
They don't like the Lions either, dude. They're Chargers fans.
He's a Chargers fan. Something about them Charger fans. They're not the most happiest people in the world. They don't like compliments. But yeah, that was a good game. You know, you had a couple of good games. You actually had an upset, who I thought was one of the best teams in the NFL. You had the Browns beat the Ravens 33-31. That was an exciting game to watch too. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, the Ravens, I thought they were the team, but no, I mean, the Browns did pretty good. Yeah, the Falcons lose. You had Cowboys. Cowboys, they confuse me. You know, some weeks I think they're the best.
They're back and forth every week.
Back and forth. But yeah, that's enough.
What's his name from South? He caught his first touchdown the other week.
He got like a little short reception. It was like it wasn't much, but yeah, I mean, good for him. He's been playing a lot more. So last year, he didn't even know the playbook, so that's why he didn't play much.
Oh, what's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue.
Jalen Tolbert.
Tolbert, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a cool South Alabama athlete, but he never met Harris.
Well, that is kind of all to really talk about with the NFL today. Not too much action, you know.
If you want to talk a little bit of baseball, I have some breaking news for y'all, and I actually wanted to hold it until the podcast. It is confirmed.
Shut up.
It is confirmed. Eric Young Sr. is leaving the Braves for the Angels.
That is so funny. I forgot to mute my mic when I was telling my dog to shut up.
What is going on right now? I smell abuse.
No, he's a good dog. You just can't learn to shut the fuck up.
Woo! I was
I'll tell you this.
John,
we're being poached.
John, was you like me when I was like, what is he talking about? And he's like,
I haven't been that confused in a long time.
I was like, what is going on right now?
And then he just stopped and he was like, that's so funny.
I was like, did I steal it? No, we're definitely getting poached right now. Eric Young Sr. is leaving. Ryan Goins is leaving. So the reason why I bring this up is I did a little bit of research, some names that they're throwing out there to replace the Atlanta Braves. And there's one name in particularly that I am kind of thinking, man, I would not be opposed to that. And I'll tell you, I've read Mark DeRosa. Mark DeRosa. What's that dude's name? He's the AAA coach. Matt, starts with a T.
Tuiasosopo.
They said he's probably going to be one of the ones taking a position. It's most guaranteed. Him. David Ross.
I can see us nabbing David Ross. I think he'll be cheap.
And then this last one, Martin Prado.
Everybody wants Martin Prado. Everybody wants him.
And I looked it up. So apparently in 2020 at spring training, he was a guest instructor for the Braves spring training. And apparently Snit, he wants him. He's always told, he said, he begged him when he retired to join the staff. Parado and Snicker are tight.
He would be a great, infield coach.
And I'll tell you another. I'll tell you some more.
How many years does Brian Snicker have on his contract?
I want to say he's through 2026,
something like that. I feel like baseball coaches don't get like mega deals. You know what I mean? Like
no,
they don't. But like, wouldn't it kind of be maybe a good idea if, since everybody else is leaving, if we just cleaned house and got Brian Snicker too?
He'll retire as a Braves. He'll be there too long. But like,
I'll tell you one name to look out for. Two names actually. Look out for Troy Snicker. They're saying might will join their roster.
I can see it.
And Eric Young Jr. replacing his father
from the Nationals, right?
Mm-hmm.
He left. He left.
When?
He like this offseason. They said he's not coming back.
Oh, he's coming to the Braves. Confirmed. He's got to. I'm
telling you, I would be happy with either David. I mean, Matt, however you pronounce it, he's going to be one of the. He's probably going to be the third base coach. They said, but you're going to get someone else. They're going to go outside. They said they don't want to pull in since they don't really have that much. So they're going to hire a new coach. And I'm very interested to see.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be a very interesting offseason in baseball for sure. I think we're going to see a lot of moves, both coaching-wise and, of course, player-wise with free agency. But to move on a little bit, and I think we should hit this first to start off college football. The news of the week, basically, dropped this morning. Jimbo Fisher has been fired as head coach of the Texas A&M Aggies football team. It was I believe, 8-year ride, somewhere between 6 and 8 years, maybe even 10. He's been there a while, and he just couldn't get it done. I mean,
he came to A&M at 2018.
2018. Okay, so this was year 6 then.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was constant every single year. Basically, after his second year, once he started getting those really big recruiting classes, and give him this, he is a really good recruiter. I don't know how much you can, credit that to the amount of money that Texas A&M has and now NIL. Right, but he did get really good recruiting classes. He had that really, really good one in 2021, I think, 2021 or 2022.
We're number 1, yeah.
Yeah, and he every year since basically his second year, they have been hyped up as a possible playoff team in preseason rankings, and it just never came to fruition. I mean, it was constant 7-5, 8-4, or worse seasons, and seems today there were some Texas boosters that just sat around. It definitely was before yesterday because I mean they routed Mississippi State.
They said they met up on a Thursday.
Thursday
is when they
and somebody must have just said, "Let's go ahead and do it." I mean, what are we waiting for? We have the money. We're rich as hell. We're rich as all get out. Are we really going to sit through another year of this? And I guarantee you, my opinion on it is, Texas A&M has been in the SEC since 2012. Coming next year is Big Brother, and they're good. And they can't stand to lose to Texas because that game is going to be at A&M next year. They do not want to lose to Texas in their first year in the conference. And now they may lose next year to them, but at least now they could say, well, it's first-year head coach. He's just now getting things started.
But also, A&M has never been to the SEC championship. Missouri went their first season, like Missouri.
They went back. Yeah. Did they not? They went back to back years.
They didn't go back to back.
No, I think they only went that 1 year in 2013. But like A&M, I mean, they went through, like you said, some of the greatest recruiting classes we've ever seen, and they got hyped up. They were supposed to be in the playoffs like every year. And now it's year 11, and they still haven't made it to the SEC championship. Like, that's the pathetic part. And you're absolutely right. I got an unpopular opinion. I think that the Texas A&M rivalry is going to overshadow the Texas-Oklahoma rivalry. I think that's about to be like the new big one. I hope it doesn't get as big as the Iron Bowl, but I can see it
I mean, that first game back, I mean, is going to be wild. And to your point, you actually were correct. They did go to the SEC championship, Missouri, in 2013 and 14, back-to-back years. They lost, but they did go. Actually put up a really good fight against Auburn that first year.
They had really good defense.
Yeah. No, they didn't. I know they did.
No, they kind of gave up thousands of points in both those games.
Well, they had Shane Ray. He's the only one.
But yeah, I think that this is my thing about A&M that I've always kind of thought since they've been in the SEC is, to me, it really doesn't matter what coach you get. It just seems like it's a perennial max 8-4, maybe a 9-3 program, no matter who is there. They can go out and they can get Nick Saban, and I just don't know. I just don't feel like they can. I don't know. It's just something about Texas A&M, and it's probably just because they've always been that way, even when they were in the Big 12. You know, when they were in the Big 12, they were always garbage. They were kind of like the bottom feeders of the Big 12 when they were in there.
They were kind of Texas Tech is now, to be honest.
Yeah, very similar. Now, the thing about it, A&M, it is unbelievable how much money those guys have. Them in Texas, because they have, some sort of pact or law or something that allows them to get a share of all the oil money in Texas. So that's why they have so much money. But to speculate, and we're going to do a whole thing with the coaching carousel, once the regular season ends. But I've got a few names. All right? And I sent it to you guys earlier. I think they're going to look at Kiffin, but I think they're probably going to say the dude's the James Franklin of the SEC. He just can't seem to win the big games. Yeah. Granted, you can get better recruits at A&M. He can't really get that at Ole Miss, so they might look at him. I think they're going to look at a guy in Jeff Brom at Louisville, and I think they're going to look at Dan Lanning. That's going to be the number one guy for everybody. All the big schools, everybody's going to want Dan Lanning. And I don't think that he would go. I think he really likes Oregon. I think it would have to be the right job for Dan Lanning to go somewhere like in Alabama or Georgia.
You got it on your head right now, yeah.
Yeah. But money talks, and dang, if anybody's got it, it's Texas A&M.
Let me tell you some replacements I read about today, and one that really kind of threw my mind in a bottle. Of course, you got Mike Elko, who makes the most sense, but I just don't think that's he's done great.
I feel like that. Here's the thing.
It's not big enough. It's not big enough.
Yes, they're buying out Jimbo's contract for just under $77 million. If you're going to do that, give the man credit. He played Texas A&M like a fiddle. Played them like a fiddle.
Texas A&M too, though.
Yes.
You're going to have to pay him $76 million. Why not give him to a whole season? Why not? I mean, you're going to have to give him the money anyways. Make him work for it. Now you have to send him home 2 weeks early. Like, I don't know. I'm a firm believer that.
Well, that makes me think they already have somebody in mind, and they want to start working towards it. That's why they fired him now.
But
go ahead.
To the placements, I saw Lane Kiffin. This next one, this is the one I'm telling you, shocked me, and I could see it. Because, like you said, the money talks. Mike Norville at Florida State. Do they take Florida State's coach back-to-back hired? It makes sense. Of course, Dan Lanning. And this next one, he's going to be a hot hire too. Kalen DeBoer, Washington's head coach.
Yeah, I had him as like a wild card potential target because, he's only in year 2 at Washington. But thing is, he does have Michael Penix, and it's like, okay, wait, I feel like Texas A&M might want to say, well, what are you without him? Yeah. Because, they don't want another Jimbo Fisher, because they're probably sitting there looking at Jimbo Fisher and saying, what was he before or without Jameis Winston? They don't want another Jimbo Fisher. And I think Kalen DeBoer could be a good hire, but I also don't know if he'd be willing to leave Washington.
And my 2 more hires, they're not sexy hires. They're just like Duke, just like Mike Elko. Give me Lance Leopold at Kansas and Jeff Taylor at UTSA.
I like those. I think Leipold's going to get him a big time job. That
I could
might be
see
it.
I could see him going to like an Arkansas or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think he would fit in at A&M very well. Like they
I
have
don't
high
either.
expectations because of the money that they got. Let me tell you who I could see them stealing based off of recent controversy, and I think it would be a good hire for him is Dabo Sweeney.
He would fit in. I mean, you look at the cult of Texas A&M and just the weird cringiness of Dabo Sweeney. I
It
mean,
fits
he
him.
would fit in. He would really fit in. And it seems like he's getting a little upset with Clemson. Like he's starting to I'm getting maybe a little tired of it there. Maybe he might. He might. I don't know, but I feel like they've already got somebody in mind for sure.
I think they do too. But another person that I could see him getting is obviously they're going to look at Lane Kiffin, but I mean that dude he bounces around so much. Like, do you really want somebody like that? He's kind of like the prostitute of the SEC. Sometimes it seems like.
Let me get. That's my thing with like Kiffin. Look, how about a Gus Malzahn? I feel like Gus Malzahn with the good recruiting. Come on.
What about Urban Meyer? His name's been thrown around.
Get that man out of your mind.
Texas A&M. He's a 3-time national.
Oh my God.
I mean,
they might want him. I just feel like he likes doing first off, he sucks on TV. He is
terrible. He's got to go back to coaching. I mean, he's too good.
I feel like he likes it. I don't know.
I'll tell you one more.
My third one.
What's your third one? Please say
Dan
it.
Lanning. I think they could steal him easily from Oregon.
I think he's waiting for Bama.
Who? Dan Lanning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I think they're going to go after him for sure. He's probably their number one choice. I just feel like he's wanting the right, because Oregon is a great job right now. And I'm not saying that like to be a Bama bandwagon, because they could definitely go and get him if they really wanted to, because again, money talks. I don't know. I really think Lane Kiffin wants the Bama job bad, but I think Dan Lanning also wants it really bad, and Bama wants Dan Lanning too. I don't know, but let's not talk too much on it.
Let me throw a woman name out, and I got to be that person.
Dan Mullen.
Nope. What about Coach Deion Sanders?
No. Can you imagine
what he can do? Look what he can do.
That would be the weird of all places for him to go. It would be weird if he went to Alabama and tried to change up uniforms and all that. Can you imagine him at that weird freaking school? I mean, come on now. But he is a Texas guy.
He would take the Texas. What do they call them? The go-go cheerleaders or
the yell leaders?
The yell leaders. He'll make them 10 times more swag.
He would. He would give them like chains and all that. Well, speaking of Texas A&M, just to get into their game a little bit, poor Mississippi State. I mean, they are a crap show, man. It sucks. It was a beatdown. Don't want to talk too much on it because the story about Texas A&M is Jimbo Fisher. But our team, the Tide, at least me and Cowboy, don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, dominated them Kentucky Wildcats. Here's my prediction. Alabama beat Kentucky 49-21 yesterday. Well, the week before that, they beat LSU 42-28. I predict next week they's going to beat UT Chat 56-14, and then it's going to be dang 63-7 in the Iron Bowl. We're going to be national champs, beating Michigan 84-14, baby. That's how we roll. But on a serious note, Alabama's picking up the pace. This weekend sucked as an Alabama fan, aside from winning the game, because we needed something to happen, and it just did not happen. But this team's looking like I mean, to be real, this is probably a top 3 team if they hadn't lost.
Like, I'm not trying to sound I'm not trying to be a Bama homer, but you telling me you put Bama this Bama team against Ohio State, we'll beat them. You put us against Michigan, we'll beat Michigan. I don't believe in this Michigan team. I'm telling you, you put us against we can beat Georgia. You know what? Give me the top 4. We can beat all top 4 right now.
I'll say this much: y'all can probably beat them right now, but the Bama team that played USF, do you think that they could compete? That's why y'all aren't ranked in the top 5.
And that team ain't been back yet. Have you been watching this team? This team has been practicing. They've been studying. They've been working hard.
I don't disagree.
Well, that okay, and I'm gonna be an Alabama homer here for just a second. Just allow me to be.
Before you say this, I just want y'all to remember that the reason the college football playoff became a thing was because the eye test. Everybody got tired of it. They wanted to go off of records.
This is my point. This is my point. Okay. Alabama loses to Texas, which means Alabama cannot jump Texas. Okay. Texas lost to Oklahoma. Yet, what was the case? Texas got ranked ahead of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Where there is no consistency with this committee.
No. It just don't make sense. They're biased towards I'm just saying that they're biased towards Alabama. They were biased to the Patriots. They're biased towards Alabama because we're the dynasty. They don't want to see us win again. They just don't.
No, well, they definitely have Georgia fatigue. I feel like if we can beat Georgia, Georgia is most certainly out, even if it's by 1 point. But let me bring something up real quick. All right, guess the players here. Player A. I got player A and player B. Player A currently sitting with 28 touchdowns in total, 6 interceptions. Player B, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Who is player A and who is player B? Player A I'll give you player B. 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Player B is Michael Penix Jr. Who is player A?
Jalen Milroe.
Jalen Milroe. I'm not saying this guy should be a Heisman contender, but I think we should at least be talking about it. Maybe at least in number 10.
Stop kissing Michael Penix's ring finger. He should not win the Heisman. We'll get into who we think should win the Heisman. It got to be Jaden Daniel. It's got to be Jaden Daniel. I don't know.
After what he did last night, I mean, it don't matter about wins and losses. I mean, he's just that dude. Watching that dude run, he is lightning fast. He has to win the Heisman.
This reminds me when Lamar Jackson won it at Louisville.
Yeah, because they were a 3-loss team when he won it, weren't they? Yeah.
Well,
look. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, I know that y'all are upset that y'all are number 8. And right now, I do agree that y'all are probably better than half of the teams in the top 5. But the point of this, and I'll give you that, Sam, they're inconsistent. But the point at the end of the day is that if you look at the rankings, they basically got it right when you look at the records of everybody.
See, I disagree with that so much.
You think Oregon with the same record should be ahead of Texas and Alabama?
When Oregon has
I think Oregon has played better than Texas in most games, yes.
Against who, though? They've only played a ranked team in Colorado and Washington, and you saw them lose to Washington. I think Oregon's
how much did Texas beat TCU yesterday? 3 points?
How much? Okay, so let me prove to you a point. You're saying that Bama. Look at the way Bama played against UCF. Look at the way Texas played against TCU, Kansas State. They're in so many close call games than we are. It's ridiculous. Like Texas, I'm telling you, Texas and Oregon. I feel like Texas and Bama should jump Oregon. That's how I look at it.
Well, I mean, just at the rate that both of those teams are going, it seems like they have to lose at some point, right? They're just skating by. I think especially Texas. Texas goes to Iowa State this weekend. Washington goes to Oregon State. That could really be the final shot for Washington to lose until the Pac-12 championship. But this whole weekend, I just thought out of all weeks for there to be some sort of shakeup in the top 8, it would be this week, and it just didn't happen. There were a lot of close games, but none of them went the way of the underdog. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that the underdogs were the away team in all these. Utah was the away team against Washington. Miami was the away team against Florida State. TCU was the lone home team that had a shot at beating, the top dog, right? But next week that ain't going to be the case.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Overall, I think they got it pretty much nailed down right. I don't like Michigan being ranked up there.
I think Michigan's so overrated, and we'll get into that right now. Michigan 24, Penn State 15. Michigan might be overrated, but Penn State is overrated as a program. Oh my God, I'm so sick and tired of Penn State every year. Watch out for Penn State; they might win it all this year. No, they won't.
At some point, they have to start questioning James Franklin, and I know they love him, but it's like the dude just cannot win the big game whatsoever. He never has. It's got to be disappointing at this point as a Penn State fan who, I mean, you're kind of used to that because the Joe Paterno era ran for so long past his prime. So it's like that's kind of what they're used to. But, I mean, like, come on. You have teams good enough to beat Michigan. You're just not getting it done. Horrible play calling. He didn't let Drew Aller throw the ball. And granted, Michigan didn't throw the ball either. That was such a boring game to watch. I hated watching that.
It was awful, dude. Just like I told y'all yesterday, Penn State is slowly but surely becoming like Notre Dame and Oregon. Excuse me, Notre Dame and Oklahoma. Except the only difference is both of those teams have actually made the playoffs. Every year they tell us
it might be worse.
Who?
I think Penn State is worse than Notre Dame or Oklahoma. At least they can make it to the playoffs. They can at least.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah. Oh, I thought you said it. As bad as bad. I'm saying they're worse.
Yeah, no, but like, and it's like you said too, John. It's like every year they're like, hey, watch out for Penn State. This might be the year they do it. And, I mean, they got a good team. I'm not discrediting that. James Franklin isn't a terrible coach, but like Sam said, at a certain point, you got to consider that, hey, maybe he might be the problem with all this.
No, I mean, they held Michigan at 24 points. They always have a good defense. Always have a good defense.
Well, I think he's a good coach, right? But I think he is a good coach for a place like he was at beforehand, like a Vandy, like where it's just he can't win the big game. And it's frustrating just as a guy who, like, I like Penn State. I've always pulled for Penn State, right? They're just kind of a likable program. We don't know the full story. But
I feel like Penn State used to be a likable team. Now everybody kind of looks at them a little different.
I don't know. I like Penn State's. I just love their tradition.
All right, so hey, the other big game of the week, you got Virginia Tech beating Boston College.
Related. I don't even know who the coach is. Well, no, Boston College's coach is actually going to get fired this year. I forgot what his name is. He's all over the hot. But
I don't even see that one on the list.
It's not. I don't even know. All right, next one. You got Texas Tech's Red Raiders 16 beating the Jayhawks from Kansas. That was also another boring game, to be honest. John liked the ending of it.
The ending was great.
Let me tell you this. Let me throw something out there.
I'll admit it. I didn't watch it. Let me
throw something out there.
I texted y'all and told y'all to turn it on. It was a good game.
Hey, something to talk about. Does Lance Leipold, is he the next coach of the Texas A&M Aggies? Did he pull a little, I'm ready to get out of here? Because they should have beat Texas Tech.
Should have beat the crap out of them. I don't think he's A&M's next one. I do think he's going to get a new.
I don't think he pulled a Hugh Freeze? Well, he did Liberty wrong. He did.
I think Leopold is going to go, or Butterscotch Leopold. I think.
It's Leopold Butterscotch.
Well, Dad.
Oh, hey, Dad. This podcast is going off the rails.
I think Lance Leopold is. I think he'll get a job like in Arkansas, maybe. I don't think he's going to stay. I don't think he'll go that big to A&M. He'll go somewhere with low standards and then kind of reach them like he did Kansas. But yeah, that was
Lou. Clemson 42, Georgia Tech 21. Wow, big game to talk about here. Dabo, he's coming back. Dominated the Jackets.
I don't get the whole, guys. Let me give you something. I went to Destin this weekend, like they said on the pod. We was shopping all weekend, and I get a text from Sweaty Boy. Fans are storming the field at the Clemson Georgia Tech game. I was like, no way, no way.
that was like, did they actually do that? Was that
they
a thing?
actually stormed the field? They stormed against Georgia Tech, not Georgia, not Georgia. You're not hearing me.
Okay, here's my theory. Hear me out. They heard us last week. They listened to our podcast and heard us and said, "Wow, Heads Up Play said it was ridiculous that we stormed the field after beating Notre Dame. So you know what? We're going to get back at them by storming the field against an even worse team in Georgia Tech."
All right. So here's apparently it is if you watch a Clemson game, just like a random Clemson game, they storm the field after every single one. It is a tradition to storm the field at Clemson after every single win, just like at Auburn it is to roll the trees after every single win. Georgia to ring the bell. The Angels light them up, baby. Apparently, they do rush the field after every single win. They go and meet at the paw on center field. They go and rush down the field and whatever. It's a dumb tradition. It comes off like they're rushing the field, but
they'd have more money for recruits if they'd stop getting fined every single game for rushing the field.
Dabo says it's against the rules. He will not go to the portal. Dabo will not use NIL money. My God, to storm the field.
This says here that in the SEC there is no existing policy on field storming, so they must not get fined for it.
In the ACC or the SEC?
In the ACC.
That's dumb.
Hell,
well,
when they come to the SEC, they gonna get fined. I don't run in the SEC. That's $70,000 fine right there.
They'd have to win a game, boys. Roll it.
Yeah.
It needs more. Next game. These guys, they've been killing it since they've joined Division I. James Madison, 44, UConn 6. Only reason why I put this game on here, they are 10-0. They cannot be in a bowl game because the first 2 years of becoming Division I, you are ineligible for a bowl. They are 10-0. They are trying to fight this and get it changed to where they can be in a bowl game. What do y'all think? Do you think they deserve to be in a bowl?
I don't. Yeah, they do. I think they deserve to be in one, but the rules are the rules, and if every other team that waited to get into D1 had to follow it, what makes them so special? They're 10. Great.
It's because the difference is that
those teams are terrible.
The vast majority of the teams that do make that tradition end up only winning a game or two, right? This is a really and same thing with Jacksonville State. They're sitting at 8-2, 7-3, or something like that. They can't. They would be at the top of their conference too, and they can't. They can't go to the championship game. They can't go to a bowl.
So dumb. I don't even know how it benefits anybody.
Yeah,
it makes no sense
I'm
whatsoever.
not saying I understand the rule and I agree with it. Yeah. I'm just saying, but it is a stupid thing. Why does it matter?
I think it's probably, to be honest, it's a coalition of all the other schools in the conference coming together and saying, "Well, yeah, they can join our conference, but they can't win it their first few years."
Oh, we just came down here from Florida, and it doesn't snow. To say it, Sam, say it.
We just came from New York, and we came down to Florida, and it's just a fantastic time. I don't want to go back. But the pizza's terrible. They have no bagels. Everybody's asking me to eat a biscuit. I don't understand it. It's whatever. I'm more of an NFL fan anyways. I don't know why we're talking college football. That's a Southern thing. They all wear dresses to the games. It's just weird. Miami 20, Florida State 27. Out of all games, this pissed me off the most.
This was the one.
Miami had an opportunity to win. Actually, Utah pissed me off the most because they kind of led it at many points. But
I'm done with Utah again. We'll get into that, Sam. I got more beef with him. Tell him to shut the hell up right now.
My fiance is coming in the door.
Oh, was that your fiance barking?
Yeah.
Just.
But yeah, this game pissed me off. Multiple chances for Miami to come forward. Florida State survives again. That they are just kind of a team that we thought should be probably a top 3, maybe even a number 1 team in the country at some point. They're struggling to beat mediocre teams. And Miami's pretty good, but You had them at home. It's Miami. They're 6-3, 6-4 now. Like, come on now.
Hey, let me ask you. My question for this game is Mario Cristobal's seat a little bit hot?
I don't think so. Not right now. I think it's still too early because he did look really good at the beginning.
I'm with Sam. I don't think there's any reason to give him a hot seat yet. Give him some time. I mean, like you said, Miami's not a terrible team. I think if they would have won this game, that would have been like a huge glimpse into their future and potential of what they can do.
Now, he did have a terrible coaching decision that totally cost them another win.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they could be 7-3 or
yeah. But I think they're on the right track. I mean, he's had some changes. I mean, Kevin Steele was a defense coordinator last year. He's had to deal with some stuff. I think once he's recruiting well, I think they're on the right track. I give him a few years, but not too many.
He has an even 11-11 record. If he has another season like this next year, I could definitely see his seat being a little bit higher. And with him having a senior quarterback in Tyler Van Dyke, I think it's Tyler Van Dyke's name, I can see it. But,
well, he's been god-awful.
And next game, the game that really made J-Dub mad, he had Utah 28 and Washington 35. Another game that had to make it for an upset, but it just fell flat on its face.
Let me tell you what, John. You and me were big on Utah for a little bit, right?
I've been on Utah, yeah.
You know what? I'm never betting on them again in my life. I'm going to bet against them every single week. I'm going to go to Biloxi this weekend, and I'm going to put money on whoever they play because I'm tired of them. I gave a really good prediction. I don't know if you listened to the podcast or not, but I gave a really good prediction of how that game would end, just trying to get some hope to them. And they obviously didn't listen to me because, they put up a little bit of a fight in the first half. We kind of watched it before we went to the South game, so I didn't get to see how it ended. But judging by the score – wait, no, that says 35. I thought that said 45. Yeah, okay. No, it looked like it was a good game. What happened? I didn't get to watch all of it.
It was a good game. Utah led for much of the game, but they allowed Washington to come back in the second half and take the lead. And Washington's defense just kind of crapped all over Utah there in the second half. Utah could not get anything going. They could not hold on to the ball for a single possession whatsoever. There was a big turning point in the game. I don't know if y'all saw any replays of it. A Washington defender, I think cornerback or safety, picked off a throw from Utah's quarterback, ran it back, almost a pick six, and does the infamous drops the ball too early at the 1 yard line. Utah picks it up. They have the ball back. They're all the way at the 1 yard line. They do get a safety on Utah, but that was 2 points that could have been 7. But to me, it almost felt like that was still the real turning point in the game. Another survival by Washington. But this Washington team, just like Florida State, they're scooting by in a lot of these games. And I don't know if they have the wherewithal to go to a good Oregon State team who beat Utah and come out with a true win. That might be my upset pick of the weekend on our next episode, but we'll talk about that later.
A game that made me upset, and I'll tell you why it made me upset. Missouri 36, Tennessee 7. I have been praying. I've been hyping up this Georgia going to Neyland Stadium, going to play Tennessee. I was like, Tennessee, that might be the team that can beat Georgia. No, I was sadly wrong. This Tennessee team, and it don't look good for Bama because if they lose this next game, they're going to be 7-4. Don't look like a significant win for us. That Tennessee team.
Let me tell y'all something. Let me give you boys a little hope real quick. All right, Sam, you said this about Auburn. You said nothing's more dangerous than a team that got spanked on the road that comes home with a feeling like they got nothing to lose. That's Tennessee right now. Neyland Stadium is not an easy place to play in. Y'all know that. They get rowdy in there. They don't like Georgia. Nobody likes Georgia. Yeah, Missouri's the truth, man. Give them credit. If Georgia wasn't doing what they were doing, they'd be going to the SEC championship for the third time, John, the third time. I think Tennessee really could beat Georgia next week. I know we're not making predictions this
It
game.
just came
this
out with
episode.
it just came out with a time.
Is it a night game?
It's a 2:30 game.
It's a 2:30. To be honest, all right, I'm gonna be real with you.
Yeah, Georgia's got that one. Georgia's got.
Hey, yeah.
To be honest, I actually think on those SEC on CBS games, that's got to be on CBS.
Yeah, it's on CBS.
I feel like the 2:30 slate, you see more upsets in the 2:30 slate than you do in the 7:00 slate. I'm just saying.
Okay, I do have a bone to pick before we go to this next game. Okay, you have two games at 11:00 slate. I'm looking at it. You have UL Monroe and Ole Miss. Ole Miss, mind you, who just got the crap beat out of them. They're on SEC Network. You have Alabama versus Chattanooga. Chattanooga also, mind you, who's 7-3. UL Monroe, who's 2-8. Alabama Chattanooga's on ESPN Plus. Why would you not put Alabama on
Really?
SEC? Yes. Why would you not put them on SEC Network with a better opposing team, with a team that's in the top 10 versus a team who's not in the top 10 facing a 2-8 team?
Yeah, that's gonna make people mad for sure.
About as dumb as it gets, right there.
I'm glad I haven't canceled my ESPN Plus yet.
But next game, man, my upset pick of the week, man. I wish I was on the podcast.
Tell them what you told me on the phone.
Oh, about how ESPN, everybody, Vegas was saying UCF or UCF. Yeah, I said UCF was like minus 4-point favorites. I was like, something's going on. I'm telling you, they know something that we don't know. And my God, did they not? I mean, were they right? UCF 45-3 against Oklahoma State. The Cowboy was right about the Cowboys losing. I mean, God, that's by far Gus's biggest win at UCF.
That is a straight up butt whooping. I mean, it ain't that is embarrassing if you're Oklahoma State coming off a big old win. But yeah, you were right. I mean, I did listen to a guy, Todd Furman. He's a really powerful expert in college sports betting, and he was saying the same thing. And I didn't really take much on it. I thought Oklahoma State would be riding hot, but maybe they were riding too hot, maybe a little bit too confident. Like, man, that is tough. And it was raining during the game. I don't know if that played a part in it because, I mean, those Oklahoma State players, they ain't used to playing in the rain like kids in Florida are. But, I mean, 45-3? At some point, something's got to give. Like, dang.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, that was. Hey, shout out to Gus. Big win for him.
Yeah, that was a big win for Gus.
I'm not the Auburn fan that dislikes him.
Well, on to Auburn, Gus's former team.
Oh man,
they did the same thing to Arkansas. I mean, beat down Arkansas.
You're getting momentum right now, John. I'm telling you, this is I've told this to Sam. When you get Auburn momentum going into the Armor, because they're going to win next week. Give y'all 7 wins. I mean,
I'm telling you, that game is going to be at night, or it'll be a 2:30 game.
Let me ask you this. Does Auburn deserve to be ranked in the top 25?
No. Sorry, no.
They might after next week.
And then maybe after next week, maybe
put them stupid. I didn't 24 care or something. But are y'all getting a little bit nervous?
Are we talking about the AP or college football playoff polls?
College football playoff, duh.
Oh, then no.
I mean, shoot. Cheese It Bowl, here you come, baby.
What?
Cheese It Bowl, here you come. Birmingham.
I mean, it's better than the Birmingham
Duke
Bowl.
Mayo Bowl. I see a Duke Mayo Bowl for you, boy.
Maybe a Gasparilla. Maybe a New Orleans.
Are y'all a little
Air
bit
Force
nervous
out there?
Though? Are y'all getting a little bit nervous?
Yes. I am always nervous at the Iron Bowl.
I've been telling you all year I've been nervous about Auburn.
And let me tell you why I'm nervous. You got a hot Auburn team, just like he mentioned, right? Riding hot. It's going to be a 3. How many? What's the win streak going on with Auburn now? What are we on? 3 or 4? 3?
It'd be 4. Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be riding high. Jordan Hare is going to be popping, and you got a coach that in the SEC, believe it or not, the guy who has beaten Nick Saban the most out of all SEC coaches is Hugh Freeze. If anybody knows how to beat Nick Saban, it's that guy.
And what I've heard today, so I met with my preacher today, and he used to be a high school football coach. And he told me what he heard is that Auburn all year, you know how Saban goes like, well, we're not worried about Auburn. We're worried about the next game, Chattanooga. No. He's been hearing that Hugh Freeze has been preparing for Alabama all year long. Because he knew this game was a throwaway year. And he thought, okay, if I can beat Alabama my first year, oh my gosh, I got the state 1-0.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
But you know, John, that I wasn't laughing because you met with your preacher. I thought you were about to say I was meeting with like some news reporters or something. But I can see
my people. My sources are telling me.
I was with Chuck and Kenny and Ernie.
Yeah, his sources are God. Jesus is his source. Jesus is telling him Auburn's gonna win.
I'm just telling you, if Auburn can win this game against Bama and give them 8 wins, oh my God. What an improvement from Brian Harsin. I mean, what an improvement. And by the way, Brian Harsin, Boise State just fired their coach. What are the chances they get Brian Harsin back to Boise State?
I could see it, honestly. I could see him chasing him.
I don't know why you wouldn't go back to him. He was very successful at Boise State.
And now he's got SEC experience under his belt, so why not?
Well, another coach that might get fired. I predicted I've been predicting he gonna get fired. If there's a reason to fire a coach after a game, it's this one. How long does Sam Pittman last, man? I don't think it's if he didn't pull that fluke win against Florida, I think he'd be gone right now.
I was kind of expecting to see his name right next to Jimbo Fisher, to be honest.
I agree.
I think Pittman gets fired at the end of the year. I do.
I can see it, yeah. Well, we talked about the guy a little while ago. I think, in my opinion, easy Heisman front runner. I know Penix has been great, but Jaden Daniels is just something else. I mean, I don't know if y'all watched any of that game. It was a really good game up until late in the fourth quarter, but like the dude is just incredible. That offense is insane, and I mean, it sucks because if they just had at least a halfway decent defense, I think that's a playoff team in LSU.
No, I agree. I told you at the beginning of the season that's who I have winning it all was LSU. That offense, unbelievable. But no, I agree. If they had somewhat of,
and now with Florida, I mean, unless they pull some crazy thing out their booty hole against Florida State in a rivalry game in the Swamp, which I mean that's possible with the way that Florida State's been playing, and because the Swamp can get crazy. And that might be a last-ditch effort for Florida to get a bowl game and a rivalry game. Florida ain't going to a bowl in year 2 under Billy Napier.
Now, I have the Heisman leaders right here, and you're going to be shocked. I think this is so much bull crap, I'm going to be honest with you. This is from USA Today. Vegas has, at 5th place, Carson Beck. He's been pretty good this year. I'll give it to him a 5. 4, Jaden Daniels. 3, this is the one that wasn't. Marvin Harrison Jr.
They want him in there so bad. They just want to have somebody from the Big Ten in there. Same with J.J. McCarthy.
2, Michael Penix.
Don't tell me number 1.
And number 1, Bo Nix.
How do you feel about that?
Participation trophy at this point, man. He's on like year 6 of playing.
He just this week he jumped Penix for number 1. So you're telling me you think Jaden Daniels is having you think Marvin Harrison Jr. is having a better season than Jaden Daniels? That is slow as my mind. I don't understand that.
No, I mean, and it's just because if Jaden Daniels was on a team that was 7-3 right now, I mean, well, I guess they are 7. If he was on an 8-1 team right now, he'd be the Heisman front runner. Not even close.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk quickly about this one. Ole Miss 17, Georgia 52.
Old piss. They're terrible.
Gave Alabama fans no hope whatsoever. Gave the whole country no hope whatsoever. What was this? I mean, this was I couldn't watch this dang thing. It started off really hot. Jackson Dart, they go down the field, they score quickly. And it looks like it's going to be a game, just like it did in the Florida-Georgia game, and it's the same result.
Georgia
I
just
mean,
proved
at this
why
point,
they're the number one team in the country. That's basically.
why would you? If Georgia's not number one in the college football playoff rankings after this week, I have no faith in this committee whatsoever.
I agree 100%. I mean, Georgia, they look for real. Like, I'm gonna be honest, they look like Georgia. I mean, after watching them last night, I could easily see them win 3 in a row.
No, I agree, and I think it really does come down to, and we've said it, Kirby Smart just he knows how to take away. He's learned from Saban so well with the rat poison thing, or he's done it the opposite and says, "Look at what they're saying about y'all. They're saying that team can beat y'all. They're saying that they can beat y'all." And it somehow he does it so well, and it just clicks in their brain.
And I'm gonna say this about Ole Miss, and I feel bad for them. They're not that good. I think they gave them a little bit too much time.
I agree. I think that they're. I don't know, man. Like they had the potential. Jackson Dart's a great quarterback. Lane Kiffin really is.
This just doesn't feel like a Lane Kiffin offense this year.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't.
Well, I mean, you're right. Who has Ole Miss played to earn the number 9 spot at the time? Their biggest win was LSU at home in a shootout. You beat number 24 Tulane, like, okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, their strength of schedule is not crazy. They only beat Auburn by a touchdown. You know, they only beat A&M, who just fired their coach by 3 points.
It's not entirely Ole Miss's fault. That's how I look.
No.
I mean, the only reason why they went up in the rankings this week was Oklahoma losing. That's the only reason why. I'm very curious, though. Let me pull up the polls. But continue talking.
Well, as far as Georgia goes, with next week, what's your out of 10? What's your confidence level for Tennessee even maybe pulling off? I'm sitting at like a 2 out of 10.
I have no confidence whatsoever.
I don't know, man. Like, I think y'all are just being doomers right now because y'all feel like there's no hope.
I don't think that Bill Milton's any good.
I don't. If Tennessee, here's the thing: Georgia has not played a single somewhat big road game. Their only kind of big road game is Florida, and that's split in half.
Yeah.
So we'll see for sure.
Like, I'll say this much: Georgia has had the hardest schedule since they started this dynasty. This is the hardest schedule they've had in terms of teams that they're playing that are ranked.
I don't even know if I would say this is the hardest schedule. I mean,
It's not. No, it's not. But that's what this is the hardest one they've had. It's the hardest one they've had because they always have a cupcake schedule. But all those teams that they've played, like you just said, have been at home. They haven't been tested on the road at all yet.
When was the last? I can't even think of the last game. That they've been in this winning streak that they've had. That they have had a tough road game.
Missouri.
They didn't have a single one last year. That's it. And Missouri almost beat them.
Not the team that they are now. Or
exactly.
Was not the team last year that they are now.
Yeah.
And they almost beat them, like you said.
Yeah. All right. Another letdown. But this one I kind of expected. I mean, if you expected TCU to beat Texas, I mean, I don't know what you're smoking, but I mean, it almost happened. A 3-point game. Texas was killing them up in. I
stopped watching. I stopped.
And then Inchin, that running back from Texas, got injured. He's out for the season now. Which that ain't he's big time on their offense. So that may play a part going forward. But you got to note too many close calls for Texas. I'm in agreement with you. I mean, it just feels like at some point this thing's going to collapse. I could be wrong.
To be honest with you, history's on Iowa State's side. Alabama fans should be the biggest Cyclone fans this week. In 2018, when we needed Oklahoma State to lose, what happened? The Cyclones.
They have come forward for us many times. You remember 2011? We needed Oklahoma State to lose. Who came? 2011? Yeah. They have come through a number of times for us. I will definitely be pulling for the Cyclones for sure.
Texas Tech and Texas game.
2008. No. 2008. You remember? What was his
What-
name?
What's going on? What did I say?
Texas Tech. You remember when Texas Tech upset Texas in 08 with the pass? Michael Crabtree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pushed us to number 1 in the country. USC 27, Oregon 36. Another close call for Oregon. I mean, USC
When does
USC
Caleb
ain't good.
Williams just say, I'm sending out the rest? And would you blame him? It's getting to that bad.
I would not blame him. I would not respect him for it, but I would not blame him
Because it's getting
whatsoever.
Did you see the girl at the end of the game as they're running in the tunnel? This girl yells, "Boomer Sooner!" She points at Lincoln Riley and yells, "Boomer Sooner!" And he goes, "You know it, sweetheart." You know it's
What? All right, Lincoln.
Bo Nix did have another great game. Bo Nix has been great for Dan Lanning. I mean, he's been, like I said, he's basically an Eastern version of, a West version of Stinson Bennett. Nobody's talking about it, but he's just another version of Stinson Bennett. But
yeah, I agree.
I expected more Oregon to get upset this game than Texas. I thought, John's kind of been on Utah a little bit. I've been on Utah not as much as John, but I have been on Utah. I've been on USC this year. That's the team I was like, okay, USC's going to be the one to upset them. I mean, like, they got a good team. Like, they can. Are they going to win 10 games? No, but they can win an upset. No, I firmly believe USC will never win another upset a day in my life. I just don't believe it whatsoever.
This game, you mentioned earlier, John, that this game was close, but I didn't. Again, I didn't get to watch this game either. It didn't look like it was close, man. It didn't look like it was close at all. Like everything, all the score updates, it looked like Oregon was leading the whole time. This kind of brings you back into my point about, like, Oregon, in my opinion, would wipe the floor with Texas. Like, they are a much better team than Texas is.
I think you're right. I think they would too. I don't know.
You know what? Let's get into that right now because I have my prediction right now. Top 10 who I think is going to be in the top 10 this next coming week. You had Ole Miss losing and you had Penn State losing at 9-10. I think that Missouri is going to be number 10. I think they'll jump Oregon State. I think Missouri 10, 9, Louisville, 8, Alabama, 7, Texas, 6, Oregon, 5, Florida State. I do. I think Washington should jump Florida State right now. I do.
I can see it.
I can agree with that.
I think they should jump them, and I'm going to be honest with you. They're not going to do it. But I think Georgia's going to be 2 in Ohio State.
I'm looking at the AP poll, and I am in perfect agreement with it. I think they're going to move Oregon State to number 10, especially to hype up that incoming game, and we just lost.
I forgot Oregon State. Oregon State. Yeah. My bad. Let me redo it. Oregon State 10, 9, Louisville, and then.
Yeah, Louisville will be 9, and then within the top 8, I don't think there's going to be any change. Should Washington jump Florida State? Probably, but I don't think that they will. Should Georgia jump Ohio State? Yes, I don't think they will. I think Michigan will stay at 3. I think everything's going to stay the same within the top 8. I really do. And it just seems like this committee doesn't really know what they're doing, to be honest. I'm not saying that as a salty Alabama fan. I'm saying, like, there's just no consistency with this.
Like your point. I mean, you had Oklahoma, Texas. Texas got beat by Oklahoma, but jumped them. And then we can't jump Texas, even though we've been dominating.
Yeah. It makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know. You got a note here at the bottom. Does Bama control their own destiny? It's a resounding no.
No.
So things have to fall into place, and it would be a damn shame. It really would. Excuse my French. It would be a damn shame that watching this team with how they're performing now not get into the playoff, especially if they beat Georgia, who most people agree should probably be the number 1 team in the country. I mean, if they don't get into the playoff after that, I mean, it would be maybe the biggest what if. It would be 2 years. Last year, Alabama did not deserve to get in. Did Nick Saban make his effort to try and persuade people to let us in? Yes, we did not deserve it. But this year, I mean, I think we're well deserving to get in if we continue to win out. But
No,
I mean, things have to happen. And the sad thing is that a lot of the teams in front of Alabama, Bama could probably beat pretty handedly. But I mean, same thing with Washington. Like you look at an undefeated Washington team, a one-loss Oregon team, Texas, who's still sitting at 7. Like things need to fall in place for all these one-loss teams to get in. And I don't know, with the way things are going, it's not looking good for a lot of teams. I'm just hoping at this point, as an Alabama fan, I've put all expectations of a playoff run in the back burner. I'm just thinking, okay, goal for the season now is to go to the SEC championship and ruin Georgia's chances of going.
Make it even tougher. Make it even tougher.
Yeah.
10. Auburn 10. Oregon State.
That's right.
Where's UAB at?
I'm not there yet.
He's got South 1.
He's not there yet.
The Orlando Magic at 4.
All right, no, I got Oregon State 10, Louisville 9, and then top 8 stays the same. And yeah, I agree. Georgia probably should be number 1, but Ohio State hasn't lost, so they're going to stay number 1. There's not much. I mean, y'all don't control your own destiny, but y'all keep on forgetting that Michigan and Ohio State have to play each other. All these other teams have to go to conference championships. Like,
yeah, and for the teams just outside of the top 4, you have to hope for a beatdown, like Michigan to beat down Ohio State or Ohio State to beat down Michigan to totally rid the losing team of a chance to get in. Because if that's a 3-point game, I mean, the playoff committee may still say, well, I mean, it was only a 3-point game. Might as well let them in,
I'm going to
say
last year. I'm going to say this much too. That Michigan-Ohio State game, if all of this holds the same throughout the season, it'll be 1 versus 3. That'll be a great game. I hope that's a good game.
Is that game? I feel like it's at Ohio State this year.
It's at Michigan.
It's at Michigan? Oh, that's right, because they went. Michigan won on the road last year. That's right. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you. What about top 10? Is this going to be the first? I don't think we've ever had a playoff. I mean, I'm wrong. Where all 4 teams are undefeated.
No, that's not going to happen.
It could. I mean, if Washington wins out, Florida State wins out, you got an undefeated Big Ten winner and an undefeated Georgia. I mean, that's all undefeated teams. It's unlikely, but it's possible.
It's possible, but I don't think it will.
It's the best time to ever have it. I mean,
out of the top 4, let's say out of the top 5, not including Ohio State and Michigan, who is most likely to lose? Who is most likely to be knocked out? I say probably Washington, because I think they would lose to Oregon.
I'd go Washington because they can lose to Oregon State and then lose to Oregon.
Yeah, and then I would probably put Florida State behind them because I think that they could drop a rivalry game to Florida in the Swamp in a last ditch effort for Florida to
Florida has nothing to lose. That could be a really
that's my point. Like it could be a crazy upset, like save the season for Billy Napier, get him a bowl.
And I'm telling you, look out. I'm not saying they might get upset Ohio State or Michigan, but I'm telling you, watch out for Iowa in the Big Ten. They don't have an offense whatsoever, but their defense is
yeah. No, they are. They are. Well, yeah, really disappointing, but an interesting weekend of college football for sure. We will get into this upcoming weekend is probably, aside from week 1, the most boring weekend of college football because it's all the, pre-rivalry week cupcake games, especially in the SEC. We got some good ones, but game day is going to James Madison.
Oh, the game day is going to James Madison?
Yeah. Where you headed, J-Dub? That's right. Tuscaloosa live, his first ever game at BDS.
The streak continues.
The streak does continue. Hell, we need to get Cowboy to a college football game. He'll be at an NFL game.
I'm going to NFL game. Yeah, I'm trying to find tickets right now for an NBA game. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go watch the Warriors and Hawks or the Suns and Hawks.
Wait, come down to New Orleans. Let's go to a Pelicans game.
I'd go to a Pelicans game. Yeah.
I'll go to one. Just let me
I
know.
looked though. The only issue is there's no games on a Saturday. They're only on Fridays, and
That's
I can't
fine.
take off.
I work a half day on Friday.
That's the thing. I wouldn't get off till 3.
Oh yeah.
Well, all right. Question of the day, John. You got a question? Anything to discuss?
Yeah. Y'all got to help me out today, man. My
All right. I had
brain's-
something. All right. Let's play a little game. Let's play guess the year. All right. I'm gonna get a year real quick. Let's see. All right.
Sorry, fellas. I had to work on my truck. I've been brain.
Well, no, you're fine. I got a question after Sam.
I love it.
All right. Guess this year. American League MVP Joe Mauer.
2000,
All right.
2000, and he was a back-to-back.
Hang
2000.
on.
So you got a couple. All right.
Today, Junior.
I know. Hold on. I didn't get this prepared. All right.
You want me to go? I'm ready with mine. You want me to go?
All
with
right. All right. Joe Mauer, MVP of the American League, and the MVP of the AFC, Peyton Manning. And I can give you an extra hint if you want unsports related.
2011.
No.
2007.
No, that's too.
No.
It's 2012.
No. All right. I will give you another hint.
Is it 2010?
Let's see. All right. This song was released by Kesha. TikTok.
2009.
It is 2009.
It's the Kesha that got me.
Okay. I got a question for you. It's NFL related. I like that question. What do these three players have in common? Ryan Tannehill, Tom Brady, and Jalen Hurts.
Ryan Tannehill, Tom Brady, and Jalen Hurts.
What do they have in common?
All right.
Backup quarterback.
Nope.
Tannehill and Hurts played in the SEC, but
Nope.
Brady did not.
It's regarding a player. That's my one hint. It's regarding a player. He's had to look it up.
I'm looking up the player to see if a player that I have in mind that I think.
I think I know who you're talking about. Ryan Tannehill, Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts.
You've stumped me.
Hang on, I'm still thinking.
Y'all need one more hint.
Is it Antonio?
That's who I was thinking, but he didn't. He really only played with Brady.
Who was it? Who'd you say?
AB?
And AB.
Nope, wasn't AB.
I'm out.
Y'all want one more hint?
Yeah, give me
a hint.
He was born and raised in the great state of Alabama.
Julio Jones.
Julio Jones, correct.
Yeah, he was with Brady on the.
He went from the Titans.
On the Bucks.
He got traded from the Falcons to the Titans, signed with the Bucks, and now he plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. Correct.
I had Julio in my mind, but I was like, I don't really remember him with Tannehill much.
Let me tell y'all, speaking about the Titans and the Bucks, this weekend they had a Lids locker room, John, just like the one in Atlanta, and they had a Derrick Henry Houston Oilers jersey, the powder blues, 175. I was like, oh my god, I can't buy that. But if it was like 130, bought. And they had the Mike Evans Tampa Bay Buccaneers orange sickle cream color jersey. Oh my gosh. No, 175.
Hey, show that hat to the camera, dude. That thing's sick.
It is. It is NBA All-Star Weekend. Back like that.
Oh, I didn't see the back of it. That's dope.
Oh, yeah, the back. And then they had a really cool one. I might order it online. It's a 2006 Rose Bowl, Texas versus USC.
That hat. That
Aren't
one
you
looks
just
like
becoming a
something you would wear.
fashionista?
Perfectly.
Well, guys, we're running on a long episode here, but we are wrapping it up. It was good. Good weekend. Hope everybody enjoyed this episode. Again, always please like, subscribe, follow us on Apple Podcasts, follow us on TikTok, Instagram. They're linked in the description. We're still sitting at 13 subscribers.
No, we got 15. We got 15 now.
Oh, okay. Shout out to those 2. We're moving on up 15, but come on, we gotta grow this thing. We ain't even out of the ground yet. We still need some water to grow this tree.
If we get 20 subscribers, we all 3 will shave our heads.
I need to. It's getting a little scraggly up here. But that's it, guys. Be looking forward to the next episode coming out on Friday. Heads up, play.
Heads up, play. Heads up, play.